Hello, BookTube. I am enthusiastically participating in a number of BookTube events this year, but probably none more enthusiastically than People April, created by Roz at Scatterly Yelling About the Books and Elizabeth at Book Kinds of Books, designed to celebrate life writing. Not just memoirs and whatnot, but also biographies, which is my favorite kind of writing to do. It's my favorite kind of book to read. I read a lot of biographies every year. I read all the major ones that come out from the U.S. publishing industry, but I also read a lot of the minor ones, and I read a lot of older ones too, thanks to my proximity to the Brattle Bookshop here in Boston. I have access to so many older biographies, including plenty that I've never read. And I want to concentrate on one of those today as I do another People update. I want to talk about this book. It's a collection of letters, but we have determined here in People April that collections of letters count in terms of life writing. This I think came out 20 years ago from, I believe, the University of Hawaii Press. It's called In Haste with Aloha. And it is letters from later in life by Hawaii's Queen Emma, Kaleoleonalani, or Queen Emma Kaleoleonalani, who was the queen consort of King Kamehameha IV and reigned in the 19th century. She was a friend and a pen pal of Queen Victoria. She was the first person named queen to enter the White House here in the United States and led a fascinating life. Her life embodied in many ways the colonial royal experience, right down to violent questions of racial purity. She had British blood. Her grandfather was. There was a lot of outcry when the prince made her his consort. When Hawaiians knew that she was going to be their queen, there was a lot of outcry. People saying that she's not pure blood. She shouldn't be our queen. And she took that all in stride. She heard about it. It infuriated her. It also brought her to tears in the way that strong women cry, out of anger. But she definitely wasn't sheltered from it. One of the things that you get from these letters is how little sheltered she was from anything. She knew all about the rampant poverty of her subjects. She knew all about the iniquities of the empire that Victoria ruled. This was really well done. When I encountered it last night for my People read along, I thought that I had read it before, but I didn't. I am thinking now that there must be at least one other collection of Queen Emma's letters. There must be. Because I know that I've read such a thing, but it wasn't this. These are from later in her life. They're more practiced. They're closer to being eloquently phrased, and it's a much bigger personality in these letters. There aren't enough of them. I'm pretty sure that this book probably has all of them that are known. But how much is known? I mean, Queen Emma was an important figure. She was, despite her rather large personality, and despite her rather territorial care for her props, she was also, the word that kept coming to my mind as I was reading this was humble. She certainly knew what the role of a monarch should be. She cared very much for her people. She wanted to establish a school for young girls so that the young Hawaiian girls could get the same kind of education that young Hawaiian boys did. It angered and mystified her why anyone would think that shouldn't happen. What difference does it make? Of course you should get an education. She also wanted to found a hospital, a really good hospital, a modern hospital. Again, with one eye always in these letters, by implication, the shadow haunting these letters is how few of these kinds of facilities existed for her people and how much she wanted them to have more. And she was assiduous in raising money for these things, in finding people and getting people to make commitments to raise money for the endowments for things like this. At a time when quite a few royals, all throughout the South Seas, all throughout Africa, certainly in London, at a time when quite a few royals only cared about grouse hunting and themselves. I guess the dumb description here would be forward-looking. And it's very pleasing to be in her company for these letters. This collection is a bit on the dry side. The academic supporting material, the introduction, especially the notes, are very academic. They try to suck the life right out of it. They didn't have, the letters weren't so full of life on their own. They would probably succeed. I don't remember the other letter collection that I read being quite so off-putting, so dry in its scholarly apparatus. So maybe it was a different scholar. Or maybe I'm imagining that book. I feel certain now. I will go and look to see if there's another collection of letters. There should be one huge collection of letters, and there should also be a biography, I might point out, and not just for Queen Emma, but for King Kamehameha, or Queen Liliuokalani. Or where are the big popular audience Hawaiian royalty biographies? Where are they? They barely exist at all. I don't think there's been one. This is the closest I think we ever come to any kind of a full dress biography of this figure, who was fascinating. She was absolutely fascinating. Her childhood, her hobbies, an ardent horsewoman, a really good reader, a fascinating figure to think about. And yet, yesterday, when I was talking about People April, I was talking about Prince Potemkin. And there's no shortage of stuff. When I was finished with Simon, I was rereading Simon Sebag Montefiore's big biography of Potemkin. And when I was finished with it, I was still curious to know more about this figure from different angles, maybe written at different time periods with more or less access to different archives. And there was no shortage of stuff for me to find. None at all. Reams and reams of stuff. I had the same feeling when I finished with this book. I want to know more about this person. I want to know more about her royal world. The royal world of Hawaii. And there's virtually nothing that I could find. There's virtually nothing. I didn't do a comprehensive search, but I think that's bad. That shows that there are plenty of biographies still to be written. Plenty of them. This person has not had a modern biography. I don't think Queen Emma has had a biography in 100 years. But this, In Haste with Aloha, was terrific. Despite the best efforts of the scholars who put it together, I really, really enjoyed it. And it was a glimpse into a world that I know only tangentially. Of course, I've been to her palace, and I lived in Hawaii for a while. And if you live in Hawaii, you will eventually use her road, the street named after her. You really can't avoid it. It's a vital straight line, so people know it. And I believe I haven't really checked up on this in the 21st century, but I believe that a lot of the institutions that she founded are still thriving. They're still going strong, and they wouldn't have existed without her. So I was, I finished the book really curious to know more, and there isn't much more. Which is really kind of odd. Not fruitful grounds. But anyway, that was my biographical excursion for last night. It was Queen Emma, she was a fascinating figure, and these letters are from late in her life, so there isn't much emphasis in the twisty turns of her family tree, the twisty turns of her parents and her grandparents. All of that is fascinating. I could swear I remember that someone made some versions of that story, of Kaleoleokalani's story, into a novel. I could swear I remember that, but it's all very hazy. It certainly wasn't coming straight to my mind. But that story is just waiting for a great biographer to tell it, and also who knows what kind of documentation exists that no one has found, because no one's bothered to look for it, because interest doesn't seem to be very high in Hawaiian royals. Who knows what's out there? But this scratched an itch, at least temporarily it did, and now I'm on to something else. I will read some other biographical treatment tonight, either a new release or more likely an older release, and I'll report back with another dispatch tomorrow. Thank you, Muktu.